The history of architectural theory begins in the 1st century BC with the publication of the work De Architectura by the Roman thinker Vitruvius. In a period where most of the literature was commissioned works of the Roman government, it is easy to see the imperial influences that manifested themselves in De Architectura. As a piece meant to work as a manual for Roman building in the great new empire, it spends a majority of its text acting as a manual for specific equations that builders should follow to accomplish the ideal Roman style. Vitruvius's book, which is hailed by most architectural historians as the first work of explorative theory for the field, in reality lacks actual exploration. Just look at the lengthy, nonsensical algorithms which comprise most of the work. Leon Battista Alberti, an Italian humanist, took great influence from Vitruvius's work in his own text De Re Edificatoria. Yet the two authors differ widely when it comes to defining the duties of an architect. According to Alberti, the whole matter of building is comprised of lineaments and structure. Lineaments, a term Alberti coined, is a constant theme throughout his writing. This definition of architectural lines and elements are what he believes to be one of the ultimate defining factors of what is and what is not successful architecture. The contrasting feature between these seemingly similar works is this. While Vitruvius emphasizes adherence to traditional techniques and styles, Alberti stresses the importance of creativity and innovation in architecture. In an argument made by Gordana, Anna, Kosevich, Lafebvre, Alberti was the first to postulate wider architectural context as an architectural sine qua non, thus formulating an architectural canon that has persisted to this day. He therefore instituted the concept of both modern landscape and the modern region, which is not only his original but a fundamental contribution to the art of building, planning, landscape, and regional studies. He was dedicated to what, at the time, was a modern way of building, and further dedicated to employing this in his own designs. He does this in one of his most famous buildings, the Santa Maria Novella, where he draws back upon classical influences, but also masterfully utilizes modern forms to create iconic facades. This poses the question that if a building lacks the lineaments and creativity the father of architectural theory deems important, can that building be considered architecture? There are many of these replicated buildings seen today throughout the world. No place is exempt in the creation of replications, as architecture is always based on the past in an attempt to recreate existing buildings in a better form. As Robert Stern, former dean of architecture at Yale University, says in his book, Bride of Place, the American dream has always depended on a dialogue between the present and the past. In our architecture, as in all of our other arts, indeed, as in our political and social culture as a whole, ours has been a struggle to formulate and sustain a usable past. Stern argues that all architecture has been derived from the past and thus none is entirely original. Stern is one of the few architects in the modern era to successfully engage architectural elements of the past into his buildings with a twist of his own style and originality, as seen in 15 Park Avenue, which was inspired by a building across the street but still maintains its own sense of originality. However, Howard French, an associate professor at Columbia University, argues that it's a fine line between imitation and appropriation. Together, these theories paint a picture separating a copied building and an inspired work. Architecture combines creativity and function by a detailed interpretation of existing structures, studying what works in contrast to with a building's failures. Picking and choosing the features to use in a design, according to Alberti and the other merited scholars, replicated buildings can be assumed of lesser quality, as a well-designed building will be based on its environment, the surroundings, and its occupants and the function. Therefore, if a building is replicated out of context, it will not fit its purpose or place. As Bianca Bosker, an award-winning journalist, says, while the device of architectural and urban mimicry is typologically not unique, the uses to which it is put by a given culture at a given time are often distinctive in the sense that they satisfy the specific set of shifts in the deep structure of society in which they circulate. Architecture is based on the culture of a specific place and time period in which it was built. If architecture is replicated in another time period, in another culture, and in a new place, the effect of the architecture is lost. It is no longer representing what it was originally meant to, and that is a major factor of architecture. However, this also begins to pose another question as to why architecture is failing. Is it due to the incompetence of the architect or the incompetence of the client? Are the architects who are designing these buildings at fault due to their lack of design intelligence and fear of creativity, or are they being forced into being sellouts by their clients who take too much liberty in their demands, as seen in Ayn Rand's Fountainhead?
Also, we want to preserve your beautiful design, but just soften it a little with a touch of classical dignity. Here, we've had this made to show you our general idea. It's very simple. All you have to do is copy it. We want you to adapt your building like this. Now there's a touch of the new and a touch of the old, so it's sure to please everybody. The middle of the road. Why take chances when you can stay in the middle?
According to Stern, what gives art its vitality is simply and ineffably the capacity of individuals to interpret and transform the language, to express new ideas or restate old ones in a compelling way. As we continue on in our studies as architects, designers, and thinkers, it is imperative to keep this power in mind and to utilize our originality to thrust ourselves into a new era of art.